And you're gonna.
And we are live on YouTube. Hello, everyone out there. My name is David Gill. I am the Artistic Director for New Ambassadors Theater Company. Welcome to LAB37, hosted by one of my favorite people and one of my muses, Carla Briscoe. Say hi, Carla, and take it away.
Hi, everybody. My name is Carla Briscoe. I'm one of the founders of New Ambassadors. I'm also on the executive board and a very proud company member. You are attending LAB37. A little bit about the company. We're a 501c3 based in Manhattan, and our nonprofit status means that any donation you make is tax deductible, and every little bit helps. Right now, we're raising money for Blurring Boundaries. Blurring Boundaries is a collection of plays that aim to push past ephemeral norms and explore the true nature of our social contract through amplifying LGBTQ+ stories, marginalized voices, and unexpected relationships. I'm going to hand it back over to David so he can tell you a little more about our upcoming festival.
So it's a very exciting. This is the second one that we'll be having. Of course, we didn't have one in 2020, but we did have one in 2019 at the Crane Theater. It went extremely well. This time, we're going to go through the process of selecting the plays, and then we're going to film them live at the WET Theater, which is on West 86th Street at West End Avenue. That is our new home. And one of our company members, Dan Checkley, has a production company. And so we're going to contract him to come and shoot the plays live in the theater. And then we're going to stream them online as the festival. So there'll be I guess if you want to get tickets or not, that's something that the committee is working on right now to make it available to everyone who wants to stream it at their leisure. Plays should be no longer than 12 minutes. And they should be whatever Carla just said, that statement, that theme, whatever that means to you. It's going to be shot in early June, and the festival will stream then at the end of June during the week of Pride Week, basically. It's a blind submission. So again, the information is going to be, Carla will tell you where to get it, and Ben will put in the link. But a blind submission, because we don't want to know who wrote it when we're reading through them and figuring out which are the best plays for the festival. And then Carla, go ahead and finish off.
So we're very excited about the upcoming festival. We've received 4 submissions already in the last 3 days. And if you would like to submit, Ben will be putting the link to our website where you can find more information on our homepage. And if you have the ability to donate and would like to donate towards the production costs, there will be a link that Ben will also be posting during tonight's lab where you can make a donation of any size. Before we begin, I would like to introduce 3 key people who will be involved in tonight's lab. One is Mally Reber, who will be running YouTube on our behalf, Ben Dworkin, who will be running the Zoom chat, and all the stage directions will be read for all 3 pieces by Kat Plazas. So about tonight's lab, our lab program is a reading series for new and in-process works, and we will be reading 3 pieces this evening. And after each piece, we'll have a feedback session, which David is going to lead. We in the Zoom room will be participating in feedback, and anyone watching can also participate by the Google form that'll be linked in the chat by Ben, who's been assisting us and will be assisting us this evening. Our feedback generally consists of popcorn moments, which are moments that popped to you. It also consists of questions you may have had while listening. And if there's anything in the piece that you'd like to see developed further as the playwright continues, you can also mention that, as well as anything the writer may ask us to pay specific attention to prior to them presenting their piece. I'll ask them if there's anything in particular in the way of feedback that they're looking for. And we also highly encourage in the moment reactions. in the chat. So if you'd like to be involved in a future lab, then we'll post the acting doodle link in the chat at some point this evening, and you can sign up to act in our next series, which is going to be on May 7th. And if you'd like to keep us up with us in general, he'll be posting a link for our newsletter. Without further ado, let's get tonight's evening on the road. Our first piece is Dinner Date 2020 by Helene Gaelic. And Helene, if you'd like to talk a little about the piece and introduce your cast, let us know what kind of feedback you're looking for. I'll give the floor to you.
Great, thank you so much. This is actually the first play I've ever written. It just came to me, it's been about a year ago when our whole world had to pivot. And I heard somebody talking about dating, and I just said, well, how are you going to date during a pandemic? And so this just came to me, and I wrote it specifically for actors who are over 50. I feel like that's an area, along with all the other boundaries we're trying to erase, that I really wanted to give over 50 actors a chance to play these really cool parts. But then I didn't stop there. I said, well, then it can be played by any ethnic group and any racial group, and it doesn't matter what size they are. It doesn't matter what shape they are. And then I was talking to David, and I went, you know, would it work? Maybe we could do it where same-sex couples or non-binary people. So that's what we're showing tonight. I've seen it done as a heterosexual piece, and now I'd like to see it as same sex. And that's it. And I just, kind of want to, I don't know if you can give me any feedback, if you need more, less, if it was funny. And I'm curious, and I don't know if this is going to be considered a period piece. Is it going to hold up in a few years when we just, or even this summer when we start going out? Because bars are going to be open until midnight next week. So there you go. So that's basically it. Anyway, my actors is the two gentlemen who I have had the privilege of not only performing with, but doing their work. And it's David Adam Gill, who is playing Ricky, and Evan Edwards, who is playing Pat. So I'm very excited to see what they're going to do with it.
Great. Thank you so much, Helene. And without further ado, we present this excerpt from Dinner Date 2020.
Dinner Date 2020 by Helene Gaelic. Characters: Ricky, male or female identifying actor, over 50 years of age, very confident and almost too charming, clearly taking the lead in this situation, any ethnicity, shape, and size. Pat, male or female identifying actor, over 50 years of age, new to app dating, somewhat hesitant and by the book, but eager to experience this new way of dating, any ethnicity, shape, and size. Opening scene. Both characters are dressed up for their first date, and they each have a plate of food in front of them, as well as a glass of wine. New York City, 2020.
I'm so glad we were finally able to schedule this date.
Oh, I know. I've been so booked up with meetings and work.
Me too. God, between work and appointments and phone calls, well, I hardly had time for myself.
Me too. And scheduling and my workouts and the usual chores, it was all run, run, run. And then finally.
Yes, finally. I said to myself, I need some me time to relax, have a good meal, good wine, with someone gorgeous like you.
Oh, thanks. Me too. With someone gorgeous like you.
Shall we toast then?
Agreed.
To a
Cheers.
very promising first date.
Cheers.
Oh, how's your wine?
Very good. And yours?
Yeah, I love this California Chardonnay. 2007 was a very good year. It's the perfect accompaniment to my broiled tilapia. Crisp with undertones of melon and apple. The hint of vanilla.
Wow. You really know your wine. I guess I'm pretty basic. Cabin steak.
I memorized the label.
Oh, you.
They both start cutting their food and taking first bites.
Mmm.
So
So good.
good. um, you know, this is actually the first time I've actually used an online dating app. I've always been wary of them. I always relied on being fixed up.
Really? Everyone's doing them now.
Oh, I know, but I figured I would meet mostly creeps, dates who are only after one thing.
Okay. Well, we're not all like that.
Oh, I didn't mean you. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to insult you.
No worries. Are you ready for a second glass of wine?
Well, I'm not a big drinker.
Oh, come on. Live a little. You never know when your last day on earth might be.
Wow, that's a bit morbid.
I didn't mean that literally. It's good to indulge once in a while.
Well, all right. What harm could it do? It's not like I'm driving.
That's a good one. Another toast.
They pick up their glasses again, refilled with wine.
I would like to toast to a very promising first date.
You got that right.
They finish their dinners and continue drinking the wine. The second glass is starting to affect them both. They laugh as they both put down their glasses at the same time. Their dinner plates are empty.
Whew. Time for a refill.
What? I couldn't possibly.
Hey, it's not like you're driving anywhere.
Their glasses are refilled.
You're not going anywhere either.
They toast to not driving anywhere. They are clearly feeling the effects of their wine. A few moments go by as they continue sipping from their glasses.
Dessert?
Oh, I don't know if I should.
Come on. You did agree to live a little.
It's so hard to say no to you.
Trust me. Death by chocolate, 7-layer cake with hazelnut filling and bourbon-soaked pecans.
That's a little rich for me. Homemade cherry pie.
To each his own. But wait, let's top it with some whipped cream.
Stop, I can't. Oh, okay. Whip away. I meant yes for whipped cream.
Mm. Yummy.
Delicious.
They continue eating and seductively spooning up the whipped cream on their respective desserts and taking sips of wine. They pause for a moment and smile at each other, really staring intently into each other's eyes.
You know, you look really fantastic. I love that purple satin top you're wearing.
Thank you. And I love yours too. That icy blue brings out your eyes.
You know what? I'm not wearing any pants.
What?
I said, I'm not wearing pants.
Pervert. This is only our first date. I thought you were one of the nice ones. How dare you?
What's the big deal? Come on, it's funny.
It is not. How dare you?
Let's have some fun.
No, this date is over.
Pat then hits the leaves the meeting button on the computer screen. The screen goes blank. Pat looks down at their plates and wine glass and the nearly empty bottle with a discouraged sigh. Then picks up cell phone, goes to the dating app, and makes an adjustment in the profile. Must wear pants. As Pat gets up and clears the table, we can see Pat is only wearing a purple satin top and a thong.
Sorry, I didn't realize I didn't mute myself.
That's okay. That was great, you guys.
That
That was funny.
That was a lot of fun. So we're gonna, Carla will get right into the feedback, which is the part that I'm going to monitor. So the first thing is popcorn moments. What are the things that stuck out to you, the things you liked, turns of phrases, unfortunate imagery? Raise your hand, please, when you answer. And also, again, Ben is going to put the link for the feedback form, the Google feedback form. Excellent. Thank you. Ben, you first. Go ahead.
Helene,
Yeah.
as a friend, I'm saying this to you. Heartbroke 2022. Heartbroke 2022. And you know, I really liked all the funniness in the piece. Like, you know, it was brief, it was like funny and slapstick, boom,
The
skyrocket.
song was very brief.
Yes, Ben, I agree. There was
Heartbroke 2022. Go
Okay.
Helene.
Excellent. Thank you, Ben. Any other comments? Popcorn moments. David Kirby. And I'll
I've
go
seen
to that.
I've seen this scene before
Mhm.
with a straight couple, and
Right.
it's hilarious, but it works perfectly this way too. You
Oh,
guys had
good.
terrific chemistry. It was adorable, and it was fun to see it build. And also, I found myself saying, "So where does this turn left? Where are we going to go awry? Because nothing can be this perfect." And it was terrific. And the popcorn moment for me was whip away.
Thank you.
Natalie.
I loved Whip Away as well. But I think like the reveal at the very end was just so fantastic because like, you know, or whoever this character is played by, whether it's a male or a female or but that particular character having that moment where they're above it all and then you find out they're actually not. It's kind of amazing. So
Right. Because I was going to say, I wrote that because that happens where sometimes it's not something that you wouldn't do, but when you feel like somebody does something too soon, you know, it's like I have a potty mouth, but if I meet someone for the first time and they're starting to talk like that, I'm like, oh. So yeah, thanks. I'm glad you got that. That's yeah. That's what
Anyone else? Go ahead, Michelle. I mean, Monica.
Oh, this was just a little popcorn thing about like the discussion of the desserts. That's very sexy. I don't know, right? It was kind of a conduit of some sensuality. We all know what a flourless chocolate cake is like, and that's kind of the foreplay. Kind of begins when you're still at the restaurant, deciding whether to get dessert and get the check. You know, I don't know. That for me, maybe not everybody.
When you think they're at the restaurant, though.
Yes.
That's right.
Yeah.
It's
Yes.
the feeling of, yeah, because now when I first heard this is a Zoom date, right? And then
Right. Yeah. Because
Yeah.
originally you kind of weren't supposed to know that. And if it does get staged live, that's going to take some interesting staging and lighting.
yeah, which would be fun. I think
Yeah.
in some ways it can be done. Also, when I was hearing it as a woman before and seeing a woman deliver that line that David did this time, it was just kind of par for the course. Like, yeah, I'd be a little freaked out. This is harassment. But then when I heard David's reaction, I was kind of confused because aren't like male culture and gay men are a little bit more, a little different in the dating world. And I'm like, what's his reason? Why is he offended this time? Like, why has that changed?
That's an excellent point. That
I
I actually
gender culture kind of thing. And then I was
Right.
kind of like, oh, okay, well, maybe he just, you know, he's reacting the way I would have in that situation where, you know, women kind of feel the target of harassment in a way. So
well, that's a great point. That's what I brought up to David. And then I thought, well, wait, then I'm just but then I thought, well, maybe I'm stereotyping, gay men that every man wants it. It's like, because straight men like to think they're like that and they're not. So
I don't know the nuance.
No, I think yes, I actually agree with the fact that that the dynamic that is between two men shouldn't change the reaction of one of them, because it's about the humanity, it's about the contact, it's about how people, you know, comport themselves, and again, that it's a little too soon.
It's kind of like a streaking moment, right? You know, like
Right.
in the drive-through, and the poor person taking the change looks down, and the person isn't wearing pants. We've all heard that story. Anyway, those are the end of my popcorn. Sorry.
Oh, great. Carla?
Yeah, no, just what Monica was saying. I do think that is a stereotype, and I think the casting as it was is interesting because it sort of like undoes that stereotype. And I know from friends of mine who really who fall outside, right, that stereotype. Something like this, I think, is important in a way. Like, it's funny, but it also sort of like undoes a narrative that's sort of been repetitive and very limiting for, you know. So I like it for that reason, the casting in particular.
Yeah, thanks.
Any other comments? Was there any place that you dropped out, that you got confused anywhere? Ben?
I feel like I wasn't confused at all. I mean, I felt like it was well put, you know, like
Constructed.
well instructed.
Great. Last question, because this is a short piece. Not what would you like to see, but was there anything that you thought within the context of the scene that you thought, oh, that's interesting. I wonder what that would be like if she expanded on it, right? Not the whole piece as a whole, but like a moment here or something that you thought, oh, that's a really interesting scenario. What if she expanded that moment a little longer, or things like that?
That's a good one.
How long is this? How long is what were the parameters for the festivals that you've got this into? Like 7 minutes, 5 minutes, what?
I think it's a little less than 10 minutes. I didn't time it when I wrote it. I just did it. It's going to be at the Nuyorican Poets Cafe Spring Festival. And then in every writing group I've been in, they've been doing it. So I think it's just under 10 minutes.
Okay, yeah, I think that's correct, yes.
Yeah.
So, or did you feel as though what was there was just right, it was necessary, it told the story? Because we are talking about, you know, some of the things that we were just talking about, which are, you know, what's stereotype, or when can you break the stereotype of something? Carla?
Well, I mean, I think there's always room to play, especially, you know, like, given what you're trying to do with the piece. Like, I think there are other zoomy things that you could play with, like lighting, like having, like, you know what I mean? Like the things that as a person who has virtually dated in 2020, like having, you know, like a box, like there are other like playful things that you could do specific to the world of Zoom, like lighting, or having a background that maybe indicates an apartment that you don't live in, or a setting. Like there are certain things you could play with. Those are just two things that come to mind, I think. If you wanted to.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you.
So that's under the assumption now that you don't want it the surprise, right?
Well, yeah, you know what? I think now, what Carla just said, I think that's important when it's going to be staged. Because I know when you read it, it goes quickly, but when you're staging it, I also wanted to show, and this is what the actors would do. You know, when you're on a date and you're making conversation, and there's that kind of lull, and you're drinking, and the nervous laughter, and you're sort of figuring what else. So I think that would be expanded a little bit if it was on stage. And like, that would be funny on stage at the end if like someone, let's say the Pat character got pissed off and, like, you know, got her back, you know, knocked his or her backdrop, you know, away, or got up and there wasn't something. So I think what you're saying, those are great ideas. I think once it's going to be staged, or even a short film, even, I don't know, then
Okay.
that would be a really good, those are really good points to take in. Yeah.
Yeah, the tail of the cat going by.
Yes. Oh my God. That would be hysterical. Yes.
Any other comments about anything now before we end this feedback session? Did you get what you wanted to get out of it, Helene? Was this
Yeah.
helpful?
Basically, I wanted to see if it would work, which I thought, to me, if you put good actors in, and, I was like cracking up because you're talking about a Chardonnay. You definitely had a cab. I'm kidding about that. But I also wrote it where, like, if somebody wanted to change, the drink and change those little things or change the color of the shirt, because there's a part, I don't know. Did you have that part where I say I really like that color on you?
Yeah, both of them.
Did do that.
Yes.
See, I was too busy laughing. I didn't even hear it.
And I'm drinking my favorite grape, which is Nero d'Avolo, which is a Sicilian grape.
Oh, that sounds great. But yes, I did. And now, now hopefully if there's still another group around, I can do it with two women or just even two characters who are non-binary, but just one is the charmer. and
Why don't we test it to see if it would be good for men, for women, or for non-binary?
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
That's it.
Well,
I
see,
actually-
if we stage it for Heartbroken 2022, I'd like to see what it would be like if it was for men or for women,
Mhm.
Right. Exactly.
I'm
Good
hoping
point
we
there.
have Heartbroken 2022.
We will. I actually think, Helene, that you're. I think that this piece will work no matter who you put in the roles,
Mhm.
because it's written through character,
Mhm.
and I think that makes it strong for whoever takes on the dialogue. Yeah.
Oh, thank you. That warms my heart because, yeah, we want to start getting more inclusive now that we've been on this pause before we come back. So great.
And I do
thank
applaud
you.
that. I do applaud the fact that you have written something that can be so versatile in terms of who gets to play what.
Mhm.
And that over 50 characters, I saw that as like, oh, over 50.
Well,
I'm one of
that's
those
the one
people.
thing I'm strict on. Like, I don't mean like I'm going to look at your birth certificate, but I mean, but people who are over 50 have a different experience than people who are 20s and 30s. That's all. It's not nothing against anybody younger, but they just take it into their. I remember when the whole singles thing, and I was in my 20s and going all the places, and the older people would kind of like be hesitant entering that world that we were natural about it. So that's my thing. But Evan, it was great. You were so funny. He's like little, and David, you were great too. I mean, I just loved, even on Zoom, you really got the physicality where, you're the, the charm, the playboy, the charmer.
Yes, that's so me.
That's so you. Leading him down a path. It was great. And I thank everybody for your comments. I don't know if I'll be a one-hit wonder, but at least I did something new this year.
Just keep plugging away. This is very successful. Thank you, Helene.
Thank you so much, everybody. Mwah.
Thank you, actors. Thank you, Kat. We're going to move on. I'm going to throw it over to Carla.
Fabulous.
Hey, before we get to our second piece, I just want to say, because Ben has referenced it several times, for those who might be watching this, Heartbroke 2022 is another we did another festival called Heartbroke. So that was what he was referring to. Heartbroke 2022 will be our next love-based, it's a love-based themed.
And we will have it. We will have it.
We will. But before we have that, we're going to have this amazing piece by Maximilian Gill called 14 Words. Max, do you want to tell us a little bit about the piece and introduce your cast and let us know what kind of feedback you're looking for?
Yes, thank you, Carla. This is scene 2 of a 2-scene play, so it's very short. The first scene was done a couple of months ago. If you didn't see it, Kat will be reading a very short summary, so kind of catch everybody up. Natalie Nekifar will be playing Erica, and Monica Ray will be playing Michelle. And I do have a couple of specific questions, but could I introduce those at the end because they would make more sense then.
Sure, absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
And I think we're ready to go. Thanks.
Okay.
Looking forward to it.
Without further ado, 14 words.
14 Words, a one-act play by Maximilian Gill. The characters: Michelle, 30s, female, BIPOC; Erica, 30s, female, white. Scene 1 summary. Michelle has been going into white supremacist chat rooms using a fake persona, Aryan Lass. She uses the information she gets to dox white nationalists. When Michelle meets a potentially dangerous target, she needs her best friend Erica to meet with him face to face and pretend to be Aryan Lass. The meeting happens in a bar. Erica is able to get enough information for Michelle to dox the man. The following scene occurs a month later.
Did you know he had a gun?
Monica, you're muted.
Why wouldn't he?
But did you know?
He kept hinting at violence, so I figured he was stocking up on weapons for whatever boogaloo civil war he was expecting.
Did you know?
He never specifically mentioned any guns. What about you? Did you know?
He didn't say anything.
And what does it matter?
Did you ever think he might do something like this?
I think all the hatred I heard from him was directed at other people.
People who hate others usually hate themselves.
But they usually kill others instead of themselves.
So you had no idea.
How could I?
Was there a sign? Anything?
What do you want me to tell you?
I'm not sure.
You think it's my fault?
I didn't say that. But are we really pretending that we had no effect on him?
I didn't put suicidal thoughts in his head.
It's not that.
Then what is it?
He wasn't worth it. I tried telling you that. You didn't listen.
All right. I'm listening.
It's a little late.
Still.
He wasn't who you thought.
Then who was he?
He wasn't in on the same terrorist. He wasn't in on some terrorist operation.
Because he didn't mention it on your date?
No, it's more than that.
I showed you all the chats.
Did you ever think that maybe that was all just a pose?
So he was pretending to believe in a race war just to be cool?
Well, yeah, actually. Aryan Lass came online looking for a real man, a partner in some future white ethno state. He tried to be that guy.
He was convincing.
Maybe you led him someplace.
What are you talking about?
I saw your messages too.
All right, so you think you know who he was.
I'm saying I might have a better idea than you do.
Used the 14 words on me.
What?
The credo for people like this. We must secure the existence of our people and a future for white children. In that community, those words mean something. Nobody says them lightly.
He never said them to me.
No?
Not once.
His goal was to find a racially pure wife to breed white children.
I'm telling you, nothing like that ever came out.
Then what did come out?
He didn't open up quickly. It took a while. He actually seemed nervous when I showed up at the bar. I expected some sort of Viking juiced up with too many gym hours, but he was pretty schlubby.
A lot of them are.
He was trying. I mean, it was pretty clear he was posturing. Somehow I put him at ease. I don't know. He felt comfortable with me, I guess.
This is why I knew you'd be perfect for this.
And then it came out. The loneliness.
Yeah. Right.
No, I mean it. It was almost overwhelming. And he only had a couple of beers. I don't think he was much of a drinker.
So?
Listen, he said he didn't have a lot of friends until he found these online groups. He followed some Twitter feeds from people who were edgy, guys he played video games with.
This is all really typical.
Doesn't mean it's not unique, doesn't mean it's not really his specific experience.
Okay.
there was a whole community there for him. That's what brought him in. But he never did anything serious about it, and he probably never would have.
That's what he told you.
It was more like he got to the point where he couldn't do anything but admit it. He was just building himself up when he was chatting with you or with Arian Lass. He wanted you to like him.
Why would he be honest with you?
Because it was comforting. I was nervous about making a slip in my cover, but he was the one that got caught in a lie. Online, he said he was training in hand-to-hand combat. With me, he messed up and said his only fighting experience was Call of Duty. I pointed it out. He was embarrassed, apologetic, but I wasn't mad. I was relieved because I wasn't sitting across the table from some psycho commando. He probably felt safer too. Enough to tell me everything.
Like how he lived at home with his mother?
I bet he never told you that.
Of course not.
We're talking about an overweight cable company tech who got in with some people online and thought he could find love there.
You feel sorry for him.
No, not that. But it makes sense. Someone closed off like him couldn't bear to lose what little he had. When it all came out and everyone knew, his online friends probably hated him for messing up. In the real world, of course, he lost his job. I can only imagine what his mother thought of him. Maybe she threatened to throw him out of the house and he just couldn't take it.
You don't think I should have doxed him?
I thought he wasn't worth your time. I told you that, but you went ahead anyway.
You were looking out for him.
No, not once. But I knew you'd think that, so I didn't insist. I probably should have. You know who this guy was? He was the one who comes by and checks your connections when your cable's gone out. Like thousands of those guys. Maybe you offer them coffee or water and they always politely refuse. You never remember their names or what they look like.
Except I don't know if any of those guys are neo-Nazis. This one was.
I don't know if that's true.
Then who was he? Sure, maybe in real life he kept himself, but what he spread through his online persona was harmful and destructive. He was putting that out there in the world, making everything uglier, and he thought he could just hide from it. I didn't let him. I forced him to own it, and he couldn't deal with it. You should hear what all the others are saying. The ones he befriended online, they're calling him a pussy and all sorts of nasty things I won't repeat. You know, that's because they're scared. They feel their own weakness in him. It's a blow to their morale and it counts for something. But you felt sorry for him.
I told you I never did.
If it was up to you, you would have just walked away from it, all because you felt bad for some pathetic little shit incel. Is it more than that?
What do you mean?
Oh, you're good at empathy, Erica, and that's great. But this time, this one time, you're giving it to someone who doesn't deserve it. You see him as a human, and I don't understand why.
You really don't.
I can't afford to.
And I can?
Yes.
What are you saying?
What do you think?
You think I wanted to give him a pass because he's white?
I don't know.
Seriously.
I don't know why you would stand up for him. And I'm not sure if I can know.
We're not like that. We can't be so cut off from each other.
We are.
No, I don't buy it.
It's how it is.
Fuck, I'm trying to reach out to you here.
Something happened. We didn't want it to, but it happened. And we see it in a totally different way.
What do you want from me?
Probably nothing.
How about honesty?
Don't bother.
Really?
If you need to say something, say it.
All right, let's try this. They talk about what someone really thinks in their heart. Is that supposed to be the test? You see who I am, what I do, who I love and keep close to me. But if you want the sins of my heart, here they are. It was white where I grew up, really white. And in high school, my friends and I used to make fun of the kids who didn't fit in. We weren't the mean girls, not even close. We just got it from the mean girls. We were just typical. It's not an excuse. Typical back then was typically ugly. Usually it was just terrible jokes we shared with each other, but sometimes it was worse. We passed by the table where the Vietnamese kids sat, and we asked them if they were eating dog for lunch. And we laughed and kept walking, and that was it for that. We didn't give it another thought. It was just who we were and how we were. A friend once told me about a guy who liked me. He tried to talk to me sometimes. He didn't show a lot of personality, but I didn't tell my friend that. I told my friend I'd never go out with a black guy. It wasn't true. I didn't really care, but I guess I thought I was supposed to care, so I said it. My friends back then seemed pretty shitty, but then everybody seemed shitty. I was shitty too. It was high school. Racist. Yeah, that's it. We were racist. We acted racist. We joked racist. Did we think racist? Did I look down on people? I don't really think I did. It never really occurred to me to think about it. Or maybe I just don't remember thinking that way because I don't want to remember it. Sure, I grew up, I learned. I went away to school, made new friends, and I knew without anyone saying it that we didn't make certain jokes anymore. I'd like to reset to my college self, the better person. But how do I make up for it? All that carelessness. Because not thinking is the crime, right? Thinking requires will, and willed hate is the worst, unforgivable. But what about just not thinking? Saying that thing without fully understanding how hurtful it is to the other person standing in front of you, without realizing that the person might have your fucked up, bigoted comments stuck in their head, and it might haunt them when they go home and they sit there silent over dinner with their family, and it might still be there with them, along with a whole mess of things that are telling them that they're not like us and they don't deserve what we have. Fuck. I'm sorry, you beautiful Vietnamese kids. Because in my memory, you truly are beautiful. You black boy with your lovely eyes, so shy and quiet. I would really go for you now. You didn't deserve to have me in your school, and I look up to you now because you put up with more shit than I ever had to, I'm sure of it. Which is way more condescending than is noble, so I don't like admitting that.
Yeah, well, I had to take all that and try to shrug it off and feel it bleed me.
I know.
And you might have learned that a lot of you didn't.
I know that too.
And your pity doesn't help.
That's not what it is. I'm asking you, how do I make up for it? Helping you out with this, taking a risk because I know for you just being out in the world is a risk. So I did something. But how much is enough? And the thoughts still get at me. I try not to let them, but they do. They're just leftovers of that damn tribalism that's stuck in us and helped us survive and evolve into who we are still is so shitty. So how is that evolution even worth it? How do I make up for that?
I can't decide that for you.
I know. I helped you out. But did you really, truly do the right thing? He was bad, and you let everyone know how bad he was. But I keep wondering, wouldn't his life have been worse if he had to keep living it?
That's an easy way out.
No, I mean it. Look where we are. A mother heard a gunshot in her home and ran into her son's room and found him dead. And if you didn't expose him, he probably wouldn't have done that right now. Can't you at least see her grief?
I see it. I feel it.
And that's you. Can you own that?
So you want a medal because you tell me how racist you can be.
No, but if that doesn't let us have real trust, I don't know what does.
Trust? That's what you want.
We should have it. If we don't, what do we have?
You have to know where I am. You have to see all the talk about ovens and nooses that I do.
I don't need to go there.
It's where I am. That's how far they go. I'm talking about actual people whose project in life is eliminating people like me. They debate the best way to do it, debate with the most frightening details you can think of. You see, I'm a problem, not just for those genocidal psychopaths, but for a lot of others who can't put it like that. It's just too tempting. Just think about how easy it would be if I disappeared one day, how simple it would be for everyone to get along. Isn't that true?
What, if suddenly we became Norway or something?
Well, that's their fantasy. They want to erase me. They want me to be an inconvenient memory. I'm not letting them.
All right, so all white people secretly hate you. If that's your takeaway, you can have it. Just leave me out. I know who I am.
You want to know what I think?
Go ahead.
I'm glad he's dead.
Okay.
I am. I do think about his mother. She put a lot into the sky. He was the only thing that redeemed her marriage to a man she divorced soon after he was born. This was all in the obituary. I didn't really want to know any of that, but I do. And now she has nothing. What hurt her more, knowing who he was or his death? Who knows? But whatever he is, that's who she raised. So why am I supposed to care? Maybe she didn't teach it to him. Maybe she was horrified, but she failed, so she doesn't get to hold on to him. The world gets to take him away from her, and she has to deal with that. And I'm so angry at her and at him, and I can't get past that. But I'm glad he's gone. I'm glad he put that pistol in his mouth and fired. They want a race war? Well, they just lost a soldier.
That's brutal.
It is.
And I don't disagree. He was a stain, and I'm not sad he's wiped away. But that just makes it easy on me. If there's evil like that out there, I can pretend my own sins are nothing. It shouldn't be easy for me. It should be really hard. I know how hard it is on you. Maybe I don't feel it, but I know it. It's so shameful. Sometimes I can't even look you in the eye.
No, I don't have a choice. I have to look you in the eye. Always.
Michelle looks Erica in the eyes. Michelle's gaze is powerful, so weighted with experience that Erica can barely take it, but she does.
You don't think we can really understand each other?
Maybe. We are our own 14 words.
Okay. Let's see. How about fuck those losers and their hate for trying to tear us apart because we're sticking together?
That's 16.
How did you count so fast?
It's a start.
It is, right?
Right.
End play.
Nicely done. Hey, Max, we have a limited amount of time, so go ahead and ask your questions.
Okay, sure. A couple of things. Erica is she sees the humanity of this guy who's killed himself, but I don't want it to make it seem like she's too sympathetic to a white supremacist. On the other hand, Michelle only sees him as this kind of hateful online person, but I don't want to make it seem like she's too callous. So those are two things I had in mind for these characters, and I was trying to maintain that balance. I was curious if anybody had thoughts on those.
Okay, so did everyone hear that? Anyone have a comment? Anyone have a comment they'd like to make based on Max's questions or statements? Carla, go ahead.
I actually thought it was very, very balanced. And I felt where both of them were coming from. So I didn't feel that Michelle was too callous, and I didn't feel that Erica was too empathetic. I think that it was actually a very real portrayal of the way that people receive things on the basis of their own lived experience.
Yeah.
And I thought it was very well done, actually. So I think you actually achieved that.
I agree with that, Max. Anyone else? Actors? Having read it? Monica?
Yeah, I know you want Michelle to be like her final conclusion. Well, and then acting today, something different happened with me just now where I was like, I'm glad he's dead. And then I felt guilty. I don't know if you saw that. And that's what I got most emotional with was I'm in Peace and Justice to fight for every human. So there's a part of me that as Michelle, as an activist, it kind of killed me and hurt me to say that. I wasn't planning that. And so that was another thing. And I wonder if, you could keep it that way with it just really bottled up and then it's a surprise to her. Or you were talking about expanding this. I think it's interesting when you see, why doesn't she have a monologue about that? Why doesn't Michelle talk about, the opposite, about how this is a casualty, how it's sad somebody had to die for this. I'd much rather him lived and been punished and made amends rather than die for it, because it's not really in the text right now if you want that. And the balance of you wanted Erica to have both, what were the two things you wanted her to have? Because
to see the humanity, but not be too sympathetic to the guy.
Not too sympathetic. So maybe also seeing that, I don't know, playing with maybe them having different perspectives where then it switches at one point. Because also just, I don't know, as, and I'm not saying this as an actress who wants more lines, I'm saying this as Michelle, I'm like, why do I let her have the mic so much? Why do I just sit there and listen to these long monologues? Because in life and as a person of color, I have to say, we don't do that. We don't, like in our homes, in our culture, and I've taken workshops and I've heard the reasons for that. And in my Chicano studies, I didn't have any linguistics or sociology, but I did hear it in other things as a school teacher. The whole like sit and listen to a polite monologue. It's much more of a waspy thing. So I'm kind of like, wow, maybe I have to give myself a reason as an actress. Like, I'm like, okay, prove it. Let me hear. But she has long monologues. And I know you're talking about expanding it. So these really could be many more conversations. But kind of that artful thing that Carol Churchill does where it's called latching rather than pausing, where you throw something out and catching on. That's much more, what I've seen and I can speak to my family. I'm not going to speak for every group of color because there's variances. And I don't know that you've settled on one for Michelle, but so culturally that's a problem for me. And also just like why Michelle does have more of an opinion about this. She could actually be arguing some of the things Erica is, but it's a longer conversation. I wish we were just sitting at a bar, like we could talk for hours about it and go through the script because I love what you've woven, but I think you're right. It could be expanded because there's so much more perspective shifting that can happen and overlapping in their talk and sharing where you think one person has one thing and then they flip because it's so complicated and we know we're responsible for it. Like there's denial through the whole conversation, but we know we're responsible for it. And that's what makes it tense for us as two best friends who did this crazy project, right? Okay, I'll pause. I've talked a lot.
Good, thank you.
We're going to have to stop in just a second, but from my perspective, and I completely understand what Monica's saying because I am not a person of color, but as a white person, I understand the monologue because as a white person who was that way and had to learn to not be throughout her life, and like she says, when I set back. I set back to the good person I was in college. The fact that she spent a lot of time, and I think Maria Elena put this in the chat, spent a lot of time asking herself these questions. And it was an evolution. It was a tough evolution. So she has the language in order to express that, because it's not something that's coming right now. I believe it's something that she's asked herself all along. And I bought that. And on the other hand, I do understand that Michelle could probably argue some of those things and have as a dynamic and impactful monologue. But for some reason, her silence was so powerful and so strong, and the way she answered and the way she looked, I felt it very balanced. But then again, I am not that type of,
Yeah.
I'm just saying from my perspective, I thought it was very balanced in terms of the language and the silence and almost the judgment, the looking, the coming up with the right thing to say, and then all of a sudden saying, I'm glad he's dead, which was like, whoa. And I did catch that, Monica, that saying that even if you really felt it, it turns you into someone that you never want to be, right?
Yeah.
So that's that. Evan, do you want to bring that up? Do you want to make that point?
Oh, I did. In my opinion, the text as it stands, it seems very skewed toward the white perspective. It's not, for me, it's not balanced. There's not enough give and take. There's not enough communication happening between the two. I realize communication can happen through silences, but especially given the state of the world and America today, those silences are becoming less and less. BIPOC, AAPI, LGBTQ+++, they're all starting to eliminate the silence. And this play, as it stands, from my perspective, seems to perpetuate that silence, seems to perpetuate the perspective of the quiet ethnic person not being subservient. That's not the right word, but we'll use it for now. Being subservient to hearing the white perspective, to being inundated by what the white person feels about XYZ, about that issue, about, white supremacy. How's a white person feel about white supremacy? Yes, that's an interesting perspective. But more interesting is the reaction of the ethnic person to what the white person has to say about the white supremacy.
Okay.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
That's a great point. Kat has something to say, and then we'll move on. Thank you, Evan.
I don't think I could word anything quite as eloquently as Evan just put that. Because I really was following in the same idea. I mean, I found myself reacting to the script as a Latina and going, like, I want to say something. I want to reach through and give Erica a piece of my mind. And then seeing this character that, and I apologize, Monica, if I'm kind of attributing you as I know you mentioned Chicana studies, so I'm not quite sure if that's how more of you identify than the terminology of Latina, but in the sense of going, thank you, in the sense of just being like, why is she sitting there? She's just kind of like, oh yes, please tell me another, and I was like, I would have such difficulty connecting with that on a visceral human level, because it almost just seems like it, like Evan said, like it's not a subservience, but it's just like, yes, white person, please let me give you a soapbox to stand on. Teach me about how you feel. And I noticed that Mary Elena just wrote like it could be really powerful to set up as long as Michelle has her turn. And I think there's something about that. I think there's something about the fact that like Michelle should have some reaction to a white person completely centering themselves in the conversation of race.
I'd like to say before we move on to the third, I'd also like to say, because I don't know how many of you guys saw the first scene for this, and it's something that Natalie had actually mentioned in the comments. I felt, if you did see the first scene, I know that Michelle had some really powerful monologues, and that they are best friends. And I know that Michelle had very powerful monologues about from her perspective in the first scene, the one that precedes this one. I agree with what you're saying about, I think this centering of the white narrative has to be called out by Michelle when it does happen here, because that is very successfully done in the first scene. There are those moments in the first scene where the character of Erica said something and Michelle like sort of like takes the narrative back. Do you know what I mean? Claims her space, claims her voice, silences Erica in order to sort of, so I think that because that's the foundation of the first scene, and I have a very strong memory of that because I remember Star doing that monologue. I think I understand this. There's something also like that thing of like when someone is hanging, like this thing that Erica's doing of just like going on and on about her own story. I in life have watched someone just dig themselves a grave and sort of like let them go and then come at them with everything. So I think that's a way to sort of, again, sort of like call out the way she's centering her story, making it about herself. Like I think if it does happen, that's just, but it's interesting to see this not right after that first scene, because I think side by side, and the first scene is so strong in my memory, Max. Like I would love to see them kind of together at some point, just to see that shift. But anyway, I'm rambling. I think everyone had really excellent feedback, and I hope it was helpful.
Yes, thank you. I appreciate it.
So moving on.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you.
Yeah, that was great feedback. Ephemery Lane is our next piece by David Michael Kirby. And David, do you want to tell us a little bit about the piece and introduce your cast? And if you have anything you want people to look out for before the piece, please let us know. Or if, like Max, you prefer to just put questions to us at the end, that's fine too.
No, I don't really have any questions. If my cast could come on. This piece, it's intact, beginning, middle, and end. It's a short play. Came from a prompt that I got in my writing class with our artistic director, David Adam Gill. Yeah, so because it's self-contained, everything should be there. If you feel like you dropped out anywhere or you're missing something or something didn't quite connect, I'm interested in that. My actors, I'm thrilled to have Carolyn Seif as Mona, reading Mona, and Maria Elena O'Brien reading for Polly. And of course, I have Kat on my stage directions tonight.
Okay, great. Without further ado, Ephemery Lane.
Ephemery Lane by David Michael Kirby. Time, late March, any recent pre-pandemic year, late morning. Place, Brooklyn, New York, chic, intimate, independently owned coffee shop. The day is blustery. Mona in her 60s, elegantly dressed and coiffed, sits by herself at a bistro table, an empty chair opposite. She warms her hands on a freshly poured mug of tea in front of her. By the looks of it, her thoughts are miles away from the present. Polly, 40s, enters the scene with her own mug of coffee, catches the eye of someone across the shop, off stage, and gives a brief, courteous wave. She glances around the shop for a seat, then approaches Mona, standing on the opposite side of the table.
Busy morning. May I sit here?
Polly bends into her line of vision and gives a little wave.
May I join you?
What's that, dear?
The shop's really crowded this morning. I was wondering if I might sit with you.
Oh, I don't know.
Are you expecting someone?
No, no, I don't think so.
Then may I sit, please? I don't bite.
I didn't think you did, dear. Sit.
Thank you. My new boots are killing me.
Mona glances at Polly's footwear.
Most becoming.
What they are mostly becoming is more and more painful, and they were so comfortable when I got them.
Then they will be again, most likely, in time.
I hope so. They were a gift.
From your husband? Or your boyfriend? Girlfriend?
D. None of the above. They are a gift from me to me. It's my birthday today.
Is it? That's something.
It is. I'm taking the whole day to celebrate.
That's nice, isn't it? Today is my birthday too.
Happy birthday.
Thank you. Happy birthday to you. Though, let's not sing it, please. I hate that song.
I know.
You do? I'm surprised. Anything else you know about me, dear?
No, I mean, I know as in I agree with you.
Oh, of course.
Happy birthday is one of those kitty ditties that really grates. I mean, for me anyway, like chopsticks or heart and soul.
Exactly. Pardon me for saying this, but is it me or is there something between us?
Other than this table, you mean?
I'm in earnest, my dear. You seem familiar. Quite familiar. Where are you from?
A little town on Long Island hardly anyone's heard of.
Really? Well, I grew up on Long Island. I'm sure I've heard of it. Which county?
Suffolk.
Me too.
North Fork.
Me too. Maybe that's why you're so familiar.
Maybe.
Same birthday? Same part of Long Island? Even that ring you're wearing is very much like one I once had. I could almost think that you might be a younger me out of the past, meeting up with me in the present for some reason. A warning, maybe? Though I'm sure I never looked as lovely as you.
This is real life, not the Twilight Zone. But thank you for the compliment. I hope I grow into someone as elegant and put together as you.
That's kind of you, dear. You're welcome. You must have been brought up well.
I was.
You never said.
I never said what?
The name of the town.
Oh, East Marion.
Well, of course I know East Marion. I was born and raised there. That has to be why you're so familiar to me. I'm sure I saw you when you were growing up. Unless this really is the Twilight Zone.
Or Thornton Wilder.
Oh, I love Thornton Wilder.
I know.
You do know me. And rather well, it would seem.
Yes. I know you.
And I know you.
You do.
Why can't I remember?
Polly extends her hands across the table to Mona.
Let's try something. Take my hands. Take my hands, hold them tightly.
Mona hesitates, then takes Polly's hands into her own. She holds them a moment, closes her eyes, then brings the hands to her face, smelling them deeply. Mona's eyes pop open wide. She is transfigured.
Polly?
Happy birthday, Mama.
My birthday? Where are we, Polly? Darling, what's happened?
Nothing, Mama. We're at your favorite coffee shop. It's our birthday, mine and yours, and we're celebrating. Just like last year and the year before that. Nothing's happened, and yet everything has.
Well, we were here a year ago.
Yes, Mama.
Oh, why can't I remember? Why is it so hard to remember?
It's okay, Mama. It's okay. I'm here. You're safe. You know that much, don't you?
But I want to remember. I just want to remember.
I know, Mama. I know you do. Just take a breath. We don't have much time.
Mona, still holding Polly's hands, inhales deeply, as if the scent of Polly's hands will recover more memories.
I'm sick, aren't I?
Yes and no. In a manner of speaking.
But this is why I remember you, Polly, and nothing else.
At the moment, yes, Mama. Sometimes you remember more. Sometimes, but less and less frequently lately.
Alzheimer's?
No, not yet, thank God. Though I suspect this dementia feels very much like it.
We've been here, this place, before, you say? When? Last year?
Yes.
And the year before that?
Yes.
Then you must have a pat little speech rehearsed to deliver in these apparently rare, lucid moments of mine. Well, do you or don't you?
I do.
Oh, forgive me, darling. I'm scared. I'm so scared. You know I only snap when I'm frightened.
I know, Mama. I know. And these moments of clarity never last long enough. The instant you recognize me, the clock is ticking. An unpredictable countdown until you live here in Brooklyn, in an excellent facility, more home than hospital. You've lived here the last 4 years since Daddy's heart attack. It was almost too late when I realized how badly we needed help. And a friend of mine directed us to an excellent doctor. Daddy's insurance will provide for your care for the rest of your life. We are very fortunate.
I know. I kind of remember now. But how did I get here?
Polly points off stage behind Mona.
You see the woman in the puffy pink coat behind you?
Yes.
That's Mina. She's your aide, your caretaker. Though actually she is a great deal more than that. God bless her. Mina is your bosom buddy, your compatriot, your best friend. She cares for you day in, day out, for better or for worse. And I am very grateful. When you can't remember me or the years past, you do remember Mina and your current life.
Mina and Mona? Sounds like a sitcom.
You know, you're right. I guess the universe really does have a sense of humor.
A dark humor. Very dark.
Yeah, well, Mina brings you here, your favorite coffee shop, on our birthday every year. I visit you as often as I can, but it seems to be the only place, the only time where you have any recall of yourself or your former life. Or me.
Well, then quickly, darling, tell me about you. Are you married? Children? Am I a grandmother? I wish I could remember.
It's complicated. Stephen and I are recently separated, but I'm hopeful. We both want to make it work. No children, I'm sad to say. At my age, I don't think there will be.
Oh, I had such dreams of grandchildren. The poets lied, you know? Well, some of them anyway. Memory is ephemeral, fragile, an incredibly precious thing. Once, I thought it was forever. But it's not. It's not.
Mona and Polly pondered this a long, long moment. Mona gradually releases Polly's hands and picks up her mug of tea, focusing on its contents. Polly looks at Mona with abiding affection.
How are your feet, dear?
My feet. Oh, right. The boots. My feet feel a little better. Thank you.
Give them a good soak when you get home.
That's the plan. I always treat myself to a luxurious candlelit soak on my birthday.
Oh, is it your birthday? Happy birthday, dear. You'll never believe this, but today is my birthday too.
Well, happy birthday. And thank you. Thank you for everything.
Polly beckons for the unseen Mina, prepares to go.
I enjoyed chatting with you very much.
Me too, dear. Though for the life of me, I can't remember what we chatted about. Whatever it was, I feel happy, very happy.
Then I'm happy too.
Oh, forgive me for being inquisitive, but is it me or is there something between us?
Polly can't speak, but gives Mona her best sad smile, shaking her head. Polly stands to exit.
Are you sure? I can't remember who you are, but I know you are someone I love.
Polly quickly turns away before she can fall apart, steps towards the exit, stops, slowly turns back to Mona, who gives her a little wave and a broad smile. Polly can't help matching that smile in return. Polly waves back, turns to exit again. When struck with an epiphany, she turns towards the audience.
Memory may not be forever, but love is forever, Mama. And I do love you. I love you so much. Happy birthday.
Lights fade as Polly exits. Mona sips her tea. Blackout.
All right. Very, very well done. Very well done, Kirby. Okay, we have a certain amount of time. Any questions or anything that you wanted to put to the audience or
No.
okay. Popcorn moments, guys. What are the things that you liked, stayed with you? Turns of phrases, imagery, anything that you liked? Popcorn. There's plenty of comments in the chat, so I know that there are some moments that you liked. Anyone?
This is really just beautiful. I mean, honestly, I've read stage directions for a lot of stuff, but this is like, I am here with my tissues and like try and hold it back so I could get the words out. I just think it was very beautifully written and wonderfully acted. So.
Agreed. Thank you, Kat. Anyone else? Monica.
But I loved Nina Mona, sounds like a sitcom, made me think of like, I don't know, give me like a Laverne and Shirley kind of moment. Kind and loving, which I think he wanted to mix that tone, that mood in there. I loved the ending, which was the total opposite of that, and really profound. I loved Polly's farewell. Or I loved it. It was very beautiful.
Hey, thank you. Anyone else? Helene and then Max.
David, it was really, really a beautiful play. I loved the relationship, the conversation. As I wrote, it's sadly more and more common. But I loved that you pick the time where she's in the beginning stages and Mona just had a lot of dignity, which I think is important because it's, yes, sadly, there are some people with Alzheimer's who can get violent or get suspicious, but a lot of people still keep their, it's just their memories going. It's not so much the personality has changed. I'm just saying, I really like the dignity of that character and the fact that even though it's the beginning change, the way the daughter's reacting to it, she's just, nobody shamed the other one. It was really good. And yes, that last line about it's the memory, it's the love. You're never sometimes going to remember, but you remember the feeling. My mother had dementia, and even when she wasn't talking that much, and there would be months where we wouldn't see each other, but every time she looked at me, I could tell she knew I was someone, whether it was put into words and, or whether she knew me specifically, she knew I was someone in her world. It was a feeling. So I think that's really beautiful that you caught that.
Thank you.
I agree. Max, go ahead.
Yes, I'm always impressed when someone can write something that's packed full of affecting sentiment without verging into sentimental and maudlin. And I know if I try to write that, I'd fall flat on my face. So my hat off to you. Very nicely done.
Thanks. It's definitely a tightrope for me as well.
Any other comments? Actors? I know Maria Elena, did you read this in the class or were you not available?
Oh, that was Carla.
Oh, that was Carla. Oh, that's right. So we have 3 actors who have read these roles. Do you have any comments about were you able to connect to these characters through the dialogue and through, his creation of these characters?
Too
Go
close.
ahead. Carolyn?
No, just for my part, whether I played it with Carla or with Marie, they were both wonderful. And the script is so specifically wonderful for both of us that it was almost easy to play.
You did beautiful work, both of you. Just
Thank you.
powerful.
Yeah. Okay. I'm going to go ahead with the other questions. Was there any place that you dropped out or got a little confused? And I'm not talking about the character of Mona. I didn't think that. Was there any particular moment that you thought, oh, this moment I'd love to see if it were expanded, if it's just too short a moment for what it could be? I don't know. Is there any moment that you thought I'd like to see? Go ahead, Carla.
I mean, you could expand this, I think, into something larger if you wanted to, and this would be one scene. I mean, I think as a standalone, I liked its brevity because of something I think you even say in the script about, she says something like the clock starts running, like there's a moment and then it's gone. And I think that's
Countdown
very
begins. Yeah.
and it's heartbreaking, but like I think if you wanted to do a series of these moments, these brief encounters where she's with her mother for real, like there's a way you could do that. That would be an interesting exercise, I think. But I think as a standalone, it's just the right length.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Beautiful.
I absolutely agree with that. I know this play very well, obviously, because David worked on it in my class, and it's just, he's really worked his ass off to create a piece that, again, says a lot but doesn't say it, outright. It's about relationships. It's about these two women trying to connect almost, within the very tiny moment that they have available where the mother is alert and knows who they are. So it was a challenge that I think you addressed really beautifully. I think I do like it as a single piece, like Carla said. I just think it's just a nice length. And as Max said, and as I'm sure everyone echoes, it's so packed with beautiful emotion and universal truths about this situation that, expanding it would be kind of chipping away at this, unless you could make them all like that, which you probably could. I mean, you're gifted. That's my thought. I just think it's I like it, this time capsule of this event happening, beginning, middle, and end, and what you feel when Polly leaves, because it's bittersweet. It's epiphanic. It's this understanding, but it's not anything that's going to tuck you in at night, really. What she'd rather have is her mother back, right?
Yeah.
So it's just so beautiful, so beautiful. Any other comments? All right. Well, that is an official wrap for LAB37. Carla, go ahead. You have a few announcements, I'm sure.
Yes, I just want to say to please come back to Lab 38, which is going to be on May 7th. It'll be hosted by Todd Butera. And the playwrights will include our own Evan Edwards, who performed tonight, Erin Mohan, and Natalie Nekifaro, who also performed this evening, will be coming back and as writers on May 7th. So please tune in. If you would like to perform in any of our labs, there is a link to a doodle, which I think Ben will be posting in the chat. It's an acting doodle link. And so you can sign up and perhaps be cast in one of our upcoming readings at either the next lab or a future lab. Additionally, if you'd like to sign up for our newsletter, Ben will also be posting a link there in the chat for you to do so. Again, thank you for coming this evening and joining us to see these writers' works in progress. Your support as an audience, your support and donations, all of these things, greatly appreciated. And with that, do you have any other closing words, David?
Just thank you, Carla, for doing such a magnificent job in hosting. I know that again, it's not your safe place, but I think you did a wonderful job. Thank you to Maui, who is on YouTube. Thank you to Ben, who's been just rocking it with the chat and posting the links. Thank you to Kat Plasis. Is that right? Did I pronounce it properly? Who read stage directions. And again, Kat was in an earlier lab for the first time acting, and we met at where was it? In the festival.
Yes. Was that That wasn't at the Secret Theater, was it?
Yes, the Secret Theater actually is when Maria Elena was doing my play Fault Lines. And you were doing that other. We had the two most violent plays in the whole festival. Everything else was like cotton candy compared to us. So we bonded really quickly. So thank you again for coming and being a part of us. We really enjoy having you here. And that's it. We're all going to say goodbye. Thank you, actors. Thank you, playwrights. Again, the labs are twice a month. I think every 2 weeks. Sometimes there's 3 weeks in between. With 3 playwrights, we're trying to kind of spread it out so that Zoom fatigue isn't a real thing anymore for us. And that said, again, thank you for coming to the lab. Thank you
I
for
was going to
participating.
say, anybody would like to.
Then we'll do that in just a second, okay?
Okay.
We will be, okay, so everyone wave goodbye. And yes, Carla says you all are amazing, and I second that.